So I'm heading out to Vegas in like 2 days, and I can't put out a typical video on the in-depth writing of horror and mystery. But what I can do is use these 2 days to indulge in a guilty pleasure of mine. I want to spend the next chunk of time talking about MeatCanyon, YouTube's cartoon king of horror. Now, even if you don't know who MeatCanyon is, I can nearly guarantee that you've seen some of his work or possibly even just a thumbnail. His videos typically get millions of views, and especially over the last year, have been ultra recommended by the god of YouTube's algorithm. MeatCanyon, or if you prefer his mortal name, Hunter Hancock, is a phenomenally talented voice actor and animator with a very eye-catching artistic style that is admittedly not for everybody. But his style of presentation merely accentuates the surrealist horror stories that he tells and the kaleidoscope of nostalgia that he uses to twist his videos into something truly disturbing and compelling. I don't typically make videos on fellow YouTubers. In fact, I don't think I've ever made one. And no, I'm not doing this because I have some secret shadowy backdoor deal with MeatCanyon via some grand YouTube conspiracy. I am doing this because I absolutely love horror. It might be my favorite genre of storytelling. Writers are always looking to evoke emotions from those who seek out their work, and horror might be the most universally emotionally provocative genre of storytelling out there. There is no more immersive a feeling than being just as scared as the characters inside the fiction. And because of that deep love of horror storytelling, I wanted to give some attention to one of my personal favorite content creators and how he crafts the stories that he does. So, one of the very important things to understand about Hunter Hancock is that even though he is a 39-year-old man, he might as well be 21 because he is in lockstep with the fast-paced and ever-changing online cultural landscape of memes and entertainment. That's what a ton of his videos are, not horror, but an animator's absurdist rendition of pop culture icons. The man literally made a video satirizing Tom Brady's kissing of his own son. He's done caricature parodies on everyone from David Dobrik and Jeffree Star to Gordon Ramsay. And the best part about these videos is the heart and soul of caricature, because it's the over-the-top exaggerations of people that make the video so capturing. I hadn't seen a single Nico Avocado video in my life, but the way MeatCanyon animates and embellishes not only physicality, but personality, paints a clear picture for what I should be laughing at in the absurdity. The purpose of satirization in general is to point an illuminating finger at an aspect of a person or a concept in order to illustrate it more clearly for others.
The reason that I made him this size and he has like 4 titties and stuff like that is that it's not even necessarily a comment on his weight. I think it's just the monster that he has become, right? I think that you have to exaggerate it. You have to like identify the elephant in the room, that he is a bigger set guy, and it is because of this lifestyle that he's living. The whole thing is very exaggerated, but I wanted to make sure that whenever he turns off the camera, we humanize him. Like, he's taking it off, he's talking with his husband, you know. There's a side to him, because I think a lot of the reaction and commentary people, they spend too much time pointing out like how disgusting it all is versus just like the man behind it. I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. If you can make him a sympathetic character because he's like so fucking hated online. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, it's this bit, but man, motherfucker gets heat. Like real heat a lot. It was seeing this thing, saying that he has a relationship, you know, that he's like, it's a facade, it's a thing, that it's a bit, and he has like these kind of relationships that are human and lovable.
And is it gross to look at? Yes. If you don't think it's gross, there's something probably wrong with you, but it's the very grossness that makes it almost impossible to turn away from. There's almost like this inverse uncanny valley going on where everything is so abjectly foul that it becomes even more funny. But aside from completely Cronenberging real people, MeatCanyon has found his biggest success through his burlesque corruptions of beloved cartoons. And these, satirization isn't really the point, the absurdity is. Cartoons, by definition, are already unrealistic and exaggerated, so MeatCanyon's goal seems to be to push the bounds of these characters as far as they can go. That's why he made Bugs Bunny a deranged sex criminal who hunts Elmer Fudd, or turns Goku into an overbearing husband who abuses Chi-Chi. A huge part of the allure is taking aspects of these well-established characters and warping them into these ludicrous facsimiles of themselves. And all of this has really just been a crash course into the elements of how MeatCanyon succeeds in his horror. Even in his videos that are not explicitly horror-centric, the satirization and caricature gives fuel for flashes of terrifying moments. Let's take his video on Mr. Beast, for example. One of them is called I Saved a Human Life Challenge, and it focuses on the morally dubious practice of using human suffering and opportunistic charity for content creation. A man needs a new heart, and Mr. Beast offers it to him, but also offers the alternative of getting a brand new Tesla. All the man has to do is dig through a pile of human hearts to find the Tesla keys. Now, this is already as absurd and hilarious as you would expect from a MeatCanyon video, but our flash of horror comes when one of the characters points out the morality of these types of actions.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this guy should be doing this. He looks really sick, Jimmy.
Man, I'm looking to play some Among Us with my boys.
Nope.
And then the video goes right back to where it was, as if nothing had happened. It's this super brief but poignant moment showcasing the uniformity of hype men and fans that influencers must rely on. A similar subject is touched upon in his David Dobrik video. The entire piece is themed around how charity done for content creation is hollow and possibly harmful because it focuses on uplifting the giver rather than the receiver. The person getting the gift is being monetized for their suffering. And again, when the morality of this is pointed out, this happens.
Your existence is being my friend. When people think of you, they really think of me. And that's who you are now.
Fuck this. I'm getting out of here, man.
In many cases, the horror and twisted appearances of the characters is used to showcase the horror and twisted reality of the subject being touched upon. And like good comedy, good horror becomes impactful when its message is based in truth. That's why movies like The Babadook or Get Out struck such a chord with audiences. They stood as exaggerative allegories for situations that we recognize could be very real. But where some of MeatCanyon's videos feature flashes of absurd horror, other videos are completely based in it. Take his Tommy Innit video, for example. It starts off relatively mundane, just MeatCanyon's usual brand of caricature animation parodying a famous Minecraft player. However, the video quickly takes a turn towards cultish religious horror.
No, Mom. No. It means I'm a god. What are you? Can't you hear them, Mother? The bells! They're ringing!
Tommy violently transforms into a cuboid monstrosity and begs to be crucified in the name of Minecraft. Again, the horror is based in the truth and commentary of giving yourself up to something to the point where nothing else in life matters, but just exaggerated to the nth degree. And these videos and the commentary they carry are not relegated to just being about real people. There is a completely macabre MeatCanyon video that shows SpongeBob being gleefully devoured by Squidward and Mr. Krabs. The entire thing is a harrowing commentary on how workers are manipulated into freely giving all they have to their jobs until there is nothing left of them.
You're all used up.
I love my job at the Krusty Krab. I wouldn't change it for anything in the whole world.
But I think the really impressive part of Hunter Hancock's creative talent is his ability to make these statements through the use of multiple different styles of horror. Sure, I think on some level they can all be classified as absurdist horror because of the animation style, but many of these videos vary drastically in their approach. The Blue's Clues episode is a psychological horror that focuses on the trauma of a man trying to cope with the death of his dog. The Regular Show episode is a realistic horror that showcases the imbalance of power that could lead to workplace sexual misconduct, even for male victims. And yes, there is even just the massively unsettling body horror a la Tusk or The Human Centipede with the Ed, Edd and Eddy videos. But truthfully, I think MeatCanyon's greatest work is his forays into traditional horror. What I mean by this is the more classic, dark, atmospheric suspense horror focused around danger and the paranormal. One that immediately comes to mind is the video, I Can Count to 3. It is an utterly haunting and torturous retelling of the kids' show Peppa Pig. There isn't necessarily even a message here. The allure comes from the way that nearly every aspect of the show has been manipulated into something terrifying, from the 2D perspective of Peppa's profile being used to create a conjoined face, or the childlike counting of 3 used to signify a deathly timer.
1, 2,
This is pure horror, where we are with the characters in their moments of tension and vulnerability, trying to escape a malevolent force that can neither be understood or reasoned with. And then there is what I consider to be Hunter Hancock's masterpiece, Yokai Bob the Builder. This is a near pitch perfect combination of almost all the horror styles previously addressed, delivered through an inordinately high quality Japanese sub. Yokai Bob the Builder masterfully channels the unexplainable spirit-based mysticism that so often appears in Eastern storytelling, along with a harsh but ultimately impactful moral lesson.
家を大事にできなければ家族を大事にできるだろうか
It's about a man who refuses to upkeep his home, which eventually causes him to lose everything else. I get major Miyazaki vibes from the video, as well as strong flashbacks to Aang's spine-chilling conversation with Ko the Face Stealer. But at the end of the day, Yokai Bob the Builder is just a fantastic exemplar of what makes so much of MeatCanyon's horror so impactful for so many. Here, the concept behind Bob the Builder just being a construction worker is morphed into him being a boundless spirit that visits and judges people's homes and by extension, their lives. It's a completely ridiculous transformation of a familiar, mundane topic, but it's executed so well that we can't help but watch. Bob the Builder being a judgmental, eldritch horror is such a bastardization of what we know and love that it almost makes it scarier than just a random yokai filling that space. Typically, and almost without exception, horror relies on the unknown. It's about presenting flashes of danger, shadows of mystery, because to most people, what is unknown becomes terrifying. Many of the best horrors remain as ambiguous as possible for as long as possible, because without a concrete explanation for what is occurring, each individual viewer fills in the blanks for themselves, and no one can scare us better than our own mind. As soon as the danger in horror becomes known, you can plan against it and start to believe you can overcome it. Keeping things as foreign and alien as possible is the bedrock of modern horror. But that is exactly the opposite of what MeatCanyon's horror does. What he does is transform what is hyper-familiar and safe to us into something that's just similar enough to be recognizable, but is also corrupted and defiled far past the point of no return. Instead of the unknown, Hunter focuses on the familiar. He turns our nostalgia into fuel for fear by deforming the characters close to us into abominations. He takes these innocent, harmless characters and the concepts they were created with and shows how just a little darkness and imagination can make them remarkably hideous and threatening. What's compelling and disconcerting about MeatCanyon's work is that it shows that the things we are comfortable with can easily become the things we don't understand. Like I said, horror is probably my favorite genre. I've had an idea for a horror novella for about 2 years now, and maybe I'll get around to writing it one day. But until then, the next best thing I can do is shine a light on those that already do horror well and the writing methods by which they accomplish their good work. Hunter Hancock, you are a horror visionary, a brave animator, and a weird bastard. And I can't wait to keep watching the stuff you put out. Anyway, thanks for watching all the way until the end of this very strange video of mine. If you like what you heard, like, comment, and subscribe. If you really want to be a homie, support the channel on Patreon and make sure to check out MeatCanyon's channel. I will leave links in the description below. As always, it was a pleasure, and I'll talk to you all again soon.